Earlier I told you that when using if statements, we can always code or nest one if statement within another one. Now we have the same concept when using loops. So we can always code or nest one loop structure within another one, no matter what type of loop we have. And this is a very powerful technique because with this we can implement some complex algorithms. Here's an example. Let's imagine we want to generate x and y coordinates using the combinations of numbers 1 to 5. So we're going to generate 1 and 1, then we're going to have 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 1 and 4, and 1 and 5. Then we're going to go to the second row and generate 2 and 1, 2 and 2, and so on. So to solve this problem, we need nested loops. So one loop, which is our outer loop, is going to be responsible for generating the x coordinates. The other loop, which is the inner loop, is going to be responsible for generating y coordinates. So while x is 1, we have to iterate over all the values from 1 to 5. So let's see how we can code this. We start with a for loop for int I set to 1. Now here we can call our loop variable x for clarity. That is better. While x is less than or equal to 5, we're going to do x++. This is our outer loop. Now within this loop, we're going to code another loop. Now here we're going to call our loop variable y. And while I is less than or equal to 5, we're going to run this loop and do y++. Now within this loop, we're going to print our coordinates. So first we add a left bracket, followed by x, then a comma and a space, followed by y, and then the right bracket, and finally endl. As simple as that. Let's run our program and see what we get. So we get all these coordinates using the combinations of 1 to 5. Beautiful. All right, here's your exercise for this lesson. I want you to write a program and ask the user for the number of rows. If we enter 5 here, we get this triangle shape where in the first row we have 1 star, in the second row we have 2 stars, in the third row we have 3 stars, and so on. This is a common interview question, but trust me, it's not that difficult. If you spend only a couple minutes on this, I'm pretty sure you can solve this problem on your own. All right, first we're going to ask the user for the number of rows. Then we declare an integer and read the value entered by the user. Now we need a for loop, and this loop should execute based on the number of rows. So for int I, we set it to 1. While I is less than or equal to rows, we do I++. Now before writing the rest of the code, let's make sure our implementation is correct up to this point. So I just want to print 1 asterisk on each line. Take a look. So if we enter 5, we get a shape with 5 rows, and in each row we have a single asterisk. So that was the first step. So whenever you try to solve a problem, always try to simplify it. Do it step by step. This is always easier. Now we're going to enhance our program, and in each row we're going to print stars based on the row number. So here we need another loop for int j. We're going to initialize this to 0. And while j is less than I, then we do j++. Why am I structuring this like this? Well, in the first iteration of the outer loop, I is going to be 1. Then we get to the inner loop, and here j is going to be 0. While j is less than I, the inner loop is going to execute, right? So the inner loop is going to execute how many times? Once. So over here, we can just print an asterisk, right? Now, in the second iteration of the outer loop, I is going to be 2. Now, the inner loop is going to execute twice because j is initially going to be 0, then it's going to be 1. So it's going to run twice until j reaches I. Okay? So using this simple algorithm, we can print these stars dynamically. So in each row, we print all these asterisks. Then after the inner loop, we print a new line. So we go to the next line. Okay. Now here we don't need braces because we have a single statement. Let's simplify our code. We don't need the comments either. This is the end result. Let's run our program and make sure it works. So if we enter 5, we get this shape, beautiful. What if we enter 0? Always try edge cases or values that can cause problems. What if we type a negative value? Everything still works. Now, what if we type a large number? Let's say 1000. Our program still works, but the screen is not big enough to show this shape properly. So if you scroll up, on the top you can see we have this triangle, but at some point it gets too big to fit on the screen.